Yeah, hello and welcome to the Daten-WG channel and another expert interview, this time with the guy I learned real-time analytics from. Yeah, I can say it. Real-time analytics, one of the Fabric workloads, which is, yeah, very self-contained, very consistent in my way, and also very valuable. But yeah, first of all, hello, Brian. Nice to meet you again.
Hello, nice to meet you, and thanks for having me.
Yeah, so for the rare reason, if anyone would not know you, which so your focus I already introduced is real-time analytics, and you're doing it for some years, I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
I've actually been doing this for, let me guess, 4 or 5 years now. But the history of me inside data is actually, it goes 25 years back when I started with my first SQL server, installing it from a floppy
mhm.
drive. And then now we're here with a full cloud supported platforms wherever you are, and also inside Microsoft Fabric. And I have been playing around with the data universe for more than 2 decades, and I fell in love with the SQL Server when I saw it, and then by coincidence, I stumbled upon the real time intelligence engine behind the scenes named the Kusto engine, and then my second love for data was reignited because this engine is really amazing.
Mhm.
So that's my niche, and that's also where I like to share knowledge and get people to be better tomorrow. So
Yeah, so to all the people who do not know already, so Kusto query language is, I think it was developed by Microsoft more for the internal admin
exactly.
monitoring stuff, and
And the Kusto engine is actually behind the scenes a service used by Log Analytics, by Azure Sentinel, by Azure Data Explorer, and now also by the Event House inside Microsoft Fabric. And
mhm.
that engine is supported by a new, but not a new language, but a different query language named Kusto Query Language. This language is more declarative in its nature, because you start with the table name and then you tell the engine what you want to do about it afterwards. On the opposite hand, in SQL, you start to tell, hey, I want to give me these columns and do these
Mhm.
calculations, and then based on this table. So the mindset in the Kusto query language is a bit the other way around. So
Yeah, I think you told this like Kusto is like when SQL was firstly developed for humans, and
exactly, exactly, yeah. I tend to put it that way when I'm on stage, because the Kusto language is, to my personal opinion, what the SQL language could have been if we started with the table name first, and then it's more easy to read and to develop once you have a script that works and that works on the Kusto engine. So
mhm, and do you fell in love actually with this language because it's so natural, or was it just the sheer amount of data that's awesome, or
my curiosity was ignited when I saw how much data I could actually process. With very few lines of code, I could process huge amounts of data and get functionalities and capabilities that I could not do in the SQL Server, like multivariate aggregations. I can do outlier detections. I can do visual charting directly from the Kusto engine and the query language. I can't do that in the SQL Server unless I have add-ons, or I build a function to do that, or some kind of other third-party software to help you get started, like Power BI or Excel or something like that.
yeah, yes,
Yeah, but
and
but I guess but I guess my let me say choice of niche here is actually not a it's not a a a a a an effort to pick somewhere or an area where people are not. I would like to empathize that, because I've also spoken to of, of of attendees at my sessions, where they come and ask, "Hey, why did you choose the real time intelligence area of data when you have like a palette of services you could choose from?" And I tell them that they shouldn't pick a niche, because a niche is somewhere where you don't have a lot of people, and it's niche based, and you might end up finding out that, okay, this is nice, and then from the backside you will get the motivation. I would rather tell people, hey, find a passion, go with your passion, and then show that passion to the community, show that passion to your audience, because the audience can feel it. If you don't have your passion, then you don't have the motivation, and if you don't have motivation, you don't have the strive to take the next step, and if you don't take the next step, you don't evolve. So I tell people, hey, even though you might have a passion about, I don't know, Power BI or SQL Server, and you say, hey, there's a lot of people talking about SQL Server and Power BI, still choose your passion, because if you don't have passion, then people can see it right through you. If you're talking about something that's not on your passion, if you write about a blog that is not about your passion, you get, it's hard to put out in words, but let me say that you get more mechanical than personal, if you have a passion for it. So
Yeah, the people will notice.
yeah, exactly.
Because
People notice right away. I'm doing mentoring for people who wants to be a new speaker inside the community. I also do mentoring for people trying to start their journey in the data area, wherever they are, both Microsoft, Databricks, and Snowflake, whatever they are, because the approach is the same. I tell them that, hey, no, sorry, they ask me, what if I pick this niche area? Then I can get a shortcut into being an MVP or a global knowledge acknowledged person who knows things about this. I said, yeah, that's an option, but you will quite quickly end up being demotivated and say, this is not funny to do, because you are also in the community, that the community work is something you do after your work. You do it in your spare time. You do it on evenings, on Saturdays, on Sundays. You travel the world from your own pocket money. So you need to find a way to have your motivation to do that. And that's not a niche. Perhaps your passion is a niche, and that's fine, but the passion should go first.
yeah, and this is good that you mentioned this, because all the community work, it's like on top. So if you do not feel the passion to do this extra miles, to visit all the events, to prepare the talks, and in your spare time in the evenings and on Sundays,
Exactly.
then it will not work out if you don't like it. I also believe this.
Exactly. Because what you see at the front end of a community, person sharing their thoughts or ideas or knowledge or something, behind the scenes there is perhaps twice or three times or four times as much preparation for slides, for videos, for images, for just content creation takes time. Perhaps you only see a video of 20 minutes, but the preparation for that video, if it's a content creator, that might be 3 hours to get that video up and running, because they need to record it, they need to have a script, they need to edit it afterwards, they need to do a splash screen for YouTube. All that kind of stuff needs to be done. And the same applies for a speaker on stage. It's not just those 45 or 60 minutes of content that you see in slides. It's also the preparation and the knowledge sharing and the knowledge gathering and the collection of ideas and typing that into a submission to a conference, and then you are accepted at a conference, hopefully, and then you have to prepare the slides and the content and the demos, all that kind of stuff. It just takes time. So if you don't have passion, you won't get there. You won't get there.
Yeah. Also believe this, and your new talk is about this focus also. I think your first so technical talk, at least, but more about how to get a focus area. Even in times of Fabric, I think it's especially important, because for me, like coming from the Power BI perspective, like it broadened up so extremely. So it's you cannot be an expert in every workload, every part of Fabric. I think nobody is.
No. I typically try to illustrate how people work inside Fabric. they work as a T, as the letter T. They are generalists on top of everything, so they know a bit about engineering, a bit about data science, a bit about Power BI, a bit about something. And then the leg, if I may say that, of the T is the deep knowledge in a specific area. It could be, for me, it's real-time intelligence. For other people, it might be data warehousing. It might be how the data lake, how one lake works, or how do I build an AI model inside Fabric and use that as a data agent or something like that. So a lot of community experts are T persons. They have a general knowledge of everything about Fabric, perhaps not everything, but most of it. And then they have a deep knowledge in one or two specific areas.
Yeah.
Because, as you say, Fabric is huge. When it was announced, it was, okay, I can manage this one. Is that 2.5 years ago or something? And up until now, it has just evolved to not a monster, but it has a lot of content. It has a lot of different facets that you need to take care of if you want to learn it all. And one person,
Yeah.
I guess they can, but then they don't have a work.
Don't have a
So
work and a life, and also it's ever changing, right? When you have
it's
like
ever
all
changing.
this all these updates, then you also have to focus. Okay, which one is the most important, or which one is the most relevant for me?
Yes.
So, and it's always like a decision.
Mhm.
So focus area is a great thing, especially if it's
Exactly.
also relevant for others. And yeah, you're
Mhm.
also like have all these tutorial videos that you share with people about Kusto to spread the word and make it
Yeah.
make the
And
data world a better place. And
yeah,
also,
I hope so.
yeah,
My I have a daily headline that I tell myself every day, that be
mm,
better tomorrow. Because if I'm just 1% better tomorrow and I do that for a whole year,
mm,
then in
yeah,
the interest of interest, you get interest out of your interest. And if you just have a calculator and you can put in 1.01 and to the power of 365, you actually get quite a big number.
okay.
I think it's 3,700 something percent.
Whoa,
Yeah.
okay, this
So
was
imagine you are 1% better tomorrow than you are today, and then do that again tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after, and the day after. Do that for 1 year, then you'll be unrecognizable
okay.
after 1 year.
But
Because
do you really have like a daily routine for this to
I
do?
don't have a daily routine, but I just keep telling myself, hey, what can I
Mm,
learn today that I didn't knew yesterday,
okay.
and what can I learn today that I can apply tomorrow?
Mm,
So it's not a daily routine. It's more of a way of working. I subscribe to RSS feeds, change feed from a blog. I subscribe to newsletters from different community knowledge people. I talk to people about, if I have an issue, I know who to talk to and who to ask, and say, hey, I have this issue. Can you help me solve it? And then we have a talk about it, and then they actually help me to understand not just how to solve it, because every person can just Google it and say, and then find execute these 10 lines of code. But I don't understand how they found that solution. So I'm very much curious when people help me, and then I ask, hey, how did you figure out this way of solving it? What knowledge do you have that I could perhaps download as a matrix, download something, and upload to myself and say, hey, now in the future, I can also solve this problem, and perhaps I can solve it in a different way than I was helped to actually do it. So it's not a daily routine. It's more of just an approach to problem solving that, yes, you can Google it, but to me, I would really much like to have the background information on why is this solution not perhaps the best one, but why does it work? Then I can use that tomorrow to solve another problem that might look like it.
yeah, that's a cool approach, I think.
Hmm.
And now let's maybe talk a little bit more about your favorite workload, of course,
Sure.
the real-time intelligence. And uh, so for me, it's always like the two-sided. It's called real-time intelligence,
Yeah.
but the major use cases for me as a person are more like analyze huge amounts of data. It's not about so much about this streaming and real timeness, but just to have a very performant engine to process a huge amount of logs. So I also started with Azure Log Analytics. This was my first contact with Kusto, and yeah, I copied all these queries of Rui Romano and Chris Webb, like to learn how to analyze the logs better. This was my contact. So for me, this mass data analytics is even more important than the real-time aspect. So what
Oh
do you
yeah.
think of this?
I totally get that the real-time intelligence suite of services inside Fabric, because it is a suite. It is a suite of services inside Fabric. We have real-time intelligence is an umbrella of, you have event stream, you have the KQL database, you have event house, you have activator, and you have real-time dashboards, and KQL query sets for that matter. So to understand that suite is actually twofold, because it is built for handling your streaming data. It is built for handling all your IT devices, all your metrics coming out of logs, all the events coming out of telemetry or something like that. It is handled to ingest those data without you having to do much work. Event stream is very, very easy to configure, and then you can connect to a streaming source like an IoT device or an event hub or event grid or something like that, and then ingest that data more or less near real time to a database. The other side of that, to its sword, is to have the capability to analyze huge amounts of data, but do that well knowing that the data is always updated, because it continuously streams data in and accepts it and stores in the database. The process of querying those, let me just, it's not big data, because big data is not something else, but huge amounts of data is a capability in the Kusto engine that is unseen. Perhaps now I will be challenged in the comments of this video later, but unseen in other database engines. We have capabilities to do outlier detection. We have capabilities to do future, how do we call that? Where I can see into the future.
Prediction and
predictions. Thank you. Yeah. I can predict what the data will look like in 7 minutes or in 7 days or in 7 months. And of course, the uncertainty will be larger the farther out I get. But with a few lines of code, I can actually do that. Outlier detection is done in 1 or 2 lines of code in Kusto. Prediction is done in 1 line of code. So being able to do that and still juggle 10 billions of trillions of rows and have a sub-second result back to me when I execute the query, that is for me mind-blowing.
Yeah. And this is crazy, and it's very easy. It's really that easy to use, because Marcus and myself, we also built like a demo for fun where we track the face of people, and then we stream like the emotions as a JSON. So it's processed locally. It's good because of privacy reasons and everything. So you just calculate the emotion stuff in your local Python script, and then it's sent it to this event stream, and it's that easy. Like you can create the event stream within 1 minute in Fabric. Just give a name, and then you have this connection string, and this you can use it in a Python script. Okay, you don't have to. It's not a good practice to hard code or the credentials somewhere in in your JSON file. So it's okay for such demo use cases. Of course, you wouldn't do it in real use cases, but it can be done. It can be done in a professional way. And our small fun use case was very fast to build. And as you told, you can also build very professional, like millions, trillions of data. And this is something that's, I think all this Power BI and Fabric Microsoft Data Platform are very good in this, that you can start very easy and then go big if you need it.
Yeah, and one of the one of the good things about the Kusto engine and the KQL database behind the scenes in Microsoft Fabric is that it auto scales. So if you only need a tiny compute, then you only get a tiny compute. If you need to process trillions and trillions of rows of data, then it auto scales to a larger capacity, not a Fabric capacity, but a larger Kusto capacity behind the scenes, a larger cluster. And that cluster, then when you're done, it automatically tries to downscale again, because they only want you to pay for what you're using. And if you don't use the database behind the scenes, then it auto pauses, so you don't pay for it. So the ability and the flexibility to only pay for what you use and only have it live when you actually need it, and then the power of handling trillions of rows and still get sub 1 second query time is just amazing. And on the second hand, there's also this might be a bit of a marketing stunt, but the real-time dashboards inside Microsoft Fabric is actually free of charge. You don't need a license. You don't need a license to build visualizations on top of your data. The only thing you're paying for is the consumption on the database, because the real-time dashboards is extracting data live from the Kusto database, and you're paying for those queries. But you're not paying for the visualization. You don't need a Power BI license to visualize your data in real-time dashboards.
No, didn't
It's a
you
free
this?
service, even though you pay for the queries behind the scenes, so it's not free. But you don't need a license.
Yeah, of course, you have to have at least an F2, but even someone with an F2 and not even a Power BI Pro license could build this. That's something new, of course, because it's a long time ago when I've been without a Power BI license, but good to know, like for demo use cases. And I also experienced how the workload is on a F2. Of course, it cuts up when you start even with our like comparably small use case. You still have the streaming data every second. And you have some challenges with the F2. And I also noticed, it's direct query. So we used it with direct query in Power BI and not with the real-time dashboards. So maybe today I would build it with a real-time dashboard, but Power BI worked well for us. And then, you really have to take care about your Kusto query. When you just show 5 minutes, then also the query should take only 5 minutes and not take the last 7 days, which is really, really big data, because the retention in the event house is 7 days. And for the retention, it's okay when you have only like 1 data point a second. It's small. But for the direct query, it's quite a challenge. And then your Power BI is consuming lots of CUs. And we had presented it live at a convention at the Data Unplugged. It's like one of the biggest data events in Germany. And then we had to switch again to this F64 trial version because of non very optimized Kusto. And I think this is how community works. Then we have presented it in SQL Saturday Rhineland, and then we had some discussions with like people who were attending to the session, and then we optimized it, make it very small, and it really worked.
It does. And as you say, it's fairly easy to get started. Once you start your event house and your event stream, out of the box you get a query endpoint, and you also get a query, not a query endpoint, but a destination that you can send data to in the event stream, and that's just an event hub. Then you send data to that event hub, and then that is not by magic, but that is very, very easy handled by the event stream and saved into your Kusto database.
So now I have a more tough question, maybe. So when Kusto is seems to be the better engine than traditional SQL and batch processing, where do you still see the use cases and the room for the traditional queries and traditional modeling? Why not everything is just Kusto?
Ooh, good question. I get that often. It's a long answer, but let me try to shorten that down. First of all, the Kusto engine, if you use it as a data warehouse, and as a data modeling engine, then you will hit you will encounter some issues because in the Kusto engine you don't need data modeling. You don't need to create a star schema. By default, when you have an IoT device, normally you have all the columns coming in that message. Temperature, sensor ID, date, time, all that kind of stuff coming in. So you don't need to handle that. It is just by default, it's there. Perhaps you have an ID and you want to reference that with a name or something. Then you do a lookup, and then you have a full table with all the columns. The engine is built for extremely broad tables, and you will get quite fine query times without a join. I know that's the same for SQL Server, but just understand that Power BI needs a star schema to perform the best, whereas the Kusto engine performs better with one broad table. The other side of that is the cost of the Kusto database per gigabyte processing is a bit higher than the Lakehouse and the warehouse inside Microsoft Fabric, and also the SQL Server for that matter. Sorry, the SQL database. So if you only build your data warehouse in Fabric based on the real-time intelligence engine, then the cost will be higher, of course, because you are processing data with faster compute, with faster SSD disks, and with a more or less expensive cache inside the real-time engine, because that costs quite a bit. So I would, if I were to build any real-time intelligence setup inside Fabric, I would ask the business, hey, when does this data from your devices, when does that have a sense of urgency? Perhaps it's within 5 minutes. Perhaps it's within 24 hours. Perhaps it's within 7 days. And only keep that sense of urgency time span in the database. Perhaps if they need, give me the last 7 days of data. Okay, then I'll only keep 7 days of data, because then I can offload date 8 to unlimited to the OneLake and saying, hey, this data, we need that for live processing. The data afterwards, when it's more than 7 days old, it's not of interest to our near real-time analytics, and then I can offload it to the OneLake and use it in the Lakehouse, and then build a semantic model on top of that. Let me give you an example. A warehouse is good for a hindsight of what has happened. A real-time intelligence solution is good for what has happened in the last 2 seconds. A server peaking on CPU consumption, we don't want to know that tomorrow. We want to know that now, because tomorrow perhaps someone booted the server, perhaps someone killed the processor, something. But as an infrastructure architect or infrastructure support team, we want to know, hey, this server is peaking right now. Why does it do that? What properties do we have to measure on? We want to know that within a few seconds, because then we can be proactive to the business and try to come around that problem for them before they see it themselves. So imagine a sense of urgency on CPU consumption on your server. That is quite short. We need that now. Whereas how much money did all my businesses produce, or how much revenue did we make on my business last year or last week or something? Do you need to know that now, or can you wait an hour? You could probably wait an hour, right?
Okay, understood. But there's always like a gray zone too, because like for log analytics, I also used the Kusto like to analyze yesterday's logs, just because it's lots of logs, and Kusto is performant to do it.
Yeah.
And then when
if you want to analyze logs, just keep 30 days of data and then analyze that.
Yeah.
And even though if you in Fabric offload the data to OneLake, you can still import it as a shortcut, so you can still query that same data with the near real-time live data on top of it. So you have both options in a hybrid setup, where you can query both the shortcut, so a live query from the OneLake, and the table coming in with all the streaming data. So you
Yeah.
don't have to choose. You can do a hybrid model, and then you have the queries where you need them.
Yeah. Then that's really fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I also feel like this, like the strength is the power, and of course like the naturality of Kusto. So it has, of course, when you have this kind of performance, then you have less like semantic modeling and semantic yeah, all this business context that makes Power BI so strong, and
Exactly.
also like
Yeah.
the traditional Fabric artifacts.
Exactly.
So both sides are still relevant, and
Yeah. They are.
yeah, Kusto is or the whole real-time intelligence. It's more. I like this workload because it's so self-contained too. Like you have a few objects, you can do a lot of it, but they also interact with, as you told, like the Lakehouse. And I also learned to shift my old logs to the Lakehouse when you already know, okay, these are the ones that
Exactly.
are important. Yeah, fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now we're already over 30 minutes.
Wow. Time
But
flies.
I have, of course, uh, one more question. I think
Hmm.
maybe it will be the last. When you, yeah, would be like the product manager of real-time intelligence, or when you meet the product manager, so what is maybe the one feature that you would like to add or to improve in whole real-time
Oh
intelligence
wow,
stack?
that's a good question. I would love to be able to use in real-time intelligence. We have a concept of materialized views. A
Mm.
materialized view is a pre-computed resource set of a view that you define. That view has right now a requirement that you do some sort of grouping or aggregation of that data. I would love to be able to do that without having to add the aggregation. I can come around it with a hack, but it's still hacky. But I would love to have that without without the need of doing an aggregation or summarization. The second thing I would ask is it possible in the future to have a function in Kusto is equivalent to a store procedure in SQL Server? Is it possible in a function in Kusto to have two tables that has streaming enabled in that function? That would be amazing, because then I can do joins and references and all that kind of stuff in one go when I have a Kusto function in my database. So I would actually ask two things. I know they are hard to do because
Mm.
the engine works in a different way, but that would be my biggest ask.
Oh yeah, this would really offer some great new possibilities.
Exactly.
Okay, then Brian, thanks a lot for sharing your knowledge and also sharing your spirit for the community. And yeah, hopefully see you at the next events. I've noticed you're joining Data Conference Switzerland event. I really like the great persons who organized this. So big shout out who's not yet applied for Zurich and not yet has um, bought anything, any ticket, just do it, because you can see Brian live. And yeah, meeting you and Devang Shang back there in 24, it was like for me also the start of the journey in real-time analytics, even
Mhm.
if it's not my focus area, definitely not, but it's good like to have it as part of your tea at
Exactly.
least, so I can use it for to some extent, and to analyze logs, and also to create like some streams, of course, like our gaming use case with the emotions,
Yeah.
and it really works also as the smaller part of the T. So should keep an eye on real-time analytics.
Oh yeah, please
Thanks
do. And
again.
thank you for having me, Arthur. I really appreciate it. And thanks for the chat.